Hello YouTube, this is an alcohol review of Pine Creek Canadian Whiskey, finished in rum barrels, 10-year-old. According to the bottle, 750 mils, 42% alcohol by volume, 84 proof, rum finished, 10-year-old. The label states Pine Creek is aged in oak casks in a non-climate controlled warehouse, exposing it to Canada's severe temperature swings. This creates an incredibly smooth yet complex whiskey, which is then finished in rum barrels to bring out notes of molasses and vanilla. Well, non-climate controlled warehouse. Keep note of that. Mainly because I had the opportunity to go to this one distillery in which none of the warehouses were climate controlled. They were the strangest buildings you'd ever have seen. Big square, barn-like, just twice the height of. And the outside walls, you swear, was painted in aluminum foil. The inside had no insulation, nothing. And there were breaks in between the sheets that made up the walls. Big enough you could probably put your head through it. What made it even more fascinating, besides this bizarre walled construction, a standard roof, but the walls had this big open slats, was that when you came in, you felt that you were at least 10 feet to 20 feet up, even though you came in from the surface. And that's because it's a hole, a pit, straight down. The purpose for this pit is simply to take all the ambient earth temperature, now that they've dug well past the frost line, for at least for this part of the empire, and has gone down deep enough where it's nothing but 64 degrees. That 64 degrees, they just circulate through the building, and then it leaks out accordingly. Around these here parts, we can get from 110 degrees in summer to, well, in the negatives by winter. Fahrenheit, mind you, Fahrenheit. Causing these huge swings. And they were not worried about these swings at all. Other note is that Jefferson has a bourbon out called Jefferson Ocean, I believe it is. And that was an experiment that they had done where they took their bourbons that were climate controlled, everything was very systemed, all right, and dialed in as tightly as they could. And then they took some of the raw, straight out of the mash and everything else, through the whole distillery part, just waiting to age, dumped it into barrels, and then put onto, I believe it was a schooner, an actual sailing schooner, and went from upstate New York, loud child in the background, hope you guys don't get too bothered by it, because I surely am, went down the East Coast into the Gulf of Mexico, right around Florida, into the Gulf of Mexico, circled out, and went right back up again. And they found that the exposure to the temperatures, the rocking back and forth, the sea air itself made a richer bourbon. So climate control can actually be detrimental in many cases. Those of you who are very much into the science of these sorts of things will tell you that climate control is needed in making meads and wines and beers. There's a huge preference for being able to climate control the aging of the whatever that they were brewing to keep a consistency and dialing in a better flavor easier and better than simply ambient anywhere else that they're brewing, whether it's a basement or in the home somewhere else or whatever. So it's an interesting argument. We have a wooden cork, or wooden top. Good sound. And an actual cork. Curiouser and curiouser. It's a nice style. A little big for my paws. Though there's no critters running around, we will go and cork the bottle anyway. And what do we get? Is a beautiful caramel brown with heavy highlights of yellow. I would go, oh, that's a nice honey. Actually, the yellow is too bright for honey. And it goes from this bright yellow to this beautiful rich caramel rather quickly. Wow. Wow. Come on, baby. Run for me. Run for me. No. There are no tears, no legs. She runs for no man. That ought to be interesting. All right, some of you that are wondering why the swirl, why the catty comment about running or tearing, or this will not tear for anybody, that sort of thing. It's a matter of viscosity of the liquid. The thicker the liquid, the more sugar is in it, the more sugar that are in it, and the thicker it gets, the more it'll stick to the side of the glass. So when you do the spinning thing here, then let it go. The solution that's up, I don't see a little bit, a little bit, will coat the side, and then due to gravity, of course, will start to fall. But it does not fall at an even rate. And that when you start seeing these, what looks like teardrops running down, or strange curves oscillating on the way down, they're called legs, because a woman's legs are not straight line and wiggle, or tears, like tears coming off the cheek, which of course does not fall in a straight line either. Isn't that poetic? I tell you. In this case, I don't see any. Or at least extremely small. That means low sugar, and it's going to have a watery mouthfeel, where if it had a high sugar, it would have much more of a syrupy mouthfeel. Okay, I smell a little burn. Vanilla, caramel, stone fruit. Nothing bitey. Nothing too bad, but nothing overly outstanding either. Oh, that is odd. That is very odd. It's kind of like having how to put that in words. It's definitely bourbon. Right there, definitely bourbon. Never say It's bad when it comes to mass marketing and media. Shows lack of intelligence. It is very burny. Not Sanders, just burny. No bite. It's kind of weird. Lots of burn, no bite, but at an equal level are all these wonderful bourbon flavors. Your caramel, your vanilla, your stone fruit. Typical classic type of bourbon flavors. I'm not getting much of the rum into it. Usually when there's something is aged in a blah 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 barrel, usually get some sort of a residual in there. Maybe the rum is taking the bite out. Maybe the rum with this vanilla is edging out all the sharp edges, because there's nothing sharp in this. It's very smooth, very gentle to the palate, except for that burn. And that burn is just about at an equal level. So it's nice, but at the same time, it gets sharp. I know I just said that there is no sharpness, and it gets sharp. So it doesn't cut you in the beginning, but eventually it kind of it rubs you in that direction, which is to me very classic Canadian. American whiskeys tend to be a bit sharp. The other kind of whiskeys, depending on where it's from, if it's Irish, it's very nice in my opinion. The Canadians are typically my second favorite because it's not that rough on the palate, and this is, I would have to say, classic Canadian whiskey. I'm disappointed that the rum barrel finish is not more predominant. A little bit smokier, I would hope. A little bit more sweeter, I would hope. But it's just not there. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe you guys can get it. And it sounds like the kids are rushing their way here, so we better end this quick. You guys try it. Tell me what you think. This very much tastes like it needs to be mixed in a cocktail. But like I said, I'm missing that rum finish. You guys try it. Tell me what you think. This is Pike Creek. I'm feeling I said pine before. I meant Pike. This is Pike Creek Canadian whiskey, finished in rum barrels, 10-year-old. Any comments about this particular product? Put down below. Be warmly accepted, as always. Or better yet, go out, buy it yourself. And tell us and the rest of the YouTube spirits community your thoughts about Pike Creek Canadian whiskey, rum barrel finished. And give us your opinion. So the rest of us will know what to know. And until next time, keep on drinking.